Hello and welcome. My name's Angie Holden and I'm the blogger behind the Country Chic Cottage. Today we're going to talk about sublimation on cutting boards. And I have a few different varieties for you, so rectangular versions, and yes, I do have these files for free, so if you like the files you're seeing, head to the description below this video. So a couple of different fruit patterns on a rectangular cutting board. And then I also did a round cutting board, and hopefully you can see that on camera without the glare, but it is like a stand mixer with a floral design, which is really gorgeous. So I'm gonna do both of these, give you some tips and tricks for sublimating on cutting boards. Now I am using all sublimation cutting boards, which means they are cutting boards and they say they are for sublimation. So they already have a sublimation coating on the back. You sublimate on the back, it shows through to the front, so it makes a gorgeous cutting board for your kitchen. However, yes, you can use these. So they are completely usable in your kitchen. Now I did just some generic designs, but you could definitely customize these. So you could add, Angie's Kitchen or something over the top of this before you sublimate. And then you would have a personalized cutting board as well. So first let's take a look at the supplies we're gonna use. The supplies that you'll need are as follows. So you'll need your cutting boards. These are sublimation glass cutting boards, and I'm going to do a rectangle as well as a circular version. I am only going to do sublimation cutting boards in this video. I feel like that they hold up longer and work better than other hacks out there. Now I will link to another video in the description below this one where there is a hack to do things on like Dollar Tree cutting boards. If you're interested in that, I would head there. Then I'm going to use a lint roller. I like to replace the mat in my heat press with a firmer mat because I'm going to use the Cricut Auto Press. So I have this firm heat resistant mat from Artistry, heat resistant tape, protective paper, and then my sublimation prints. Now these are sublimation ink printed on sublimation paper from a sublimation printer. And for these cutting boards, you do not mirror the design. We are going to put the design on the back and it is going to show through to the front. I do have 3 free designs for you. So there are like some lemons, some oranges, and then the last one is like a mixer with some florals. I will sublimate all 3 of these so you can see the final product. Head to the description below this video if you want to get the files for free for this project or other projects you have in mind. I did want to note that in the package with the glass cutting board, you will get some adhesive feet. Take those out, set those to the side. You want to put those on after the sublimation is complete and your glass cutting boards have cooled. When you pull the glass cutting board out of the package, you'll have a side that looks like glass, and then you will have a side that is very white. We're going to sublimate on the white side, and what is going to happen is that sublimation print is going to show through to the front. That way you cut on this side and you have no chance of damaging the sublimation print that is going to be on the back side, showing through to the front. This makes this a very durable project that will last. So I'm going to start simple with this round glass cutting board. Now this is a large cutting board and I actually don't have a printer that large or a press. So I'm just going to put a design in the center. So it'll appear with a white background with a design in the center. The first thing you want to do is clean the surface really well. You can use a lint roller. You can use a microfiber cloth with rubbing alcohol. Just allow it to dry if you do use rubbing alcohol. Then I have my sublimation print and I'm going to place that on this white side or on the back of the cutting board. You can actually kind of see through it at this point, so you can use that to locate the print if you need to. Then once you have it located and in place, you're going to want to add some heat resistant tape in order to hold it while you sublimate. Then if you've been around here any time at all, you'll know that I usually put protective paper on the bottom as well as the top. If there is no ink on your print on this overhang area, there's really no reason on this one to put protective paper on the bottom. That ink is not going to go through this cutting board. So I am just going to put a piece of protective paper on the top, and then we're going to put it in the heat press just like this. So you want the sublimation print close to that top heat platen. Then for this one, I'm going to take it to my heat press. Again, I'm going to put that firmer mat inside the heat press, and I'm going to press this one at 400 degrees for 200 seconds. Now this does call for a medium to firm pressure, but I do find that the auto press works fine for this. If you're using a handheld press, I would press down firmly for the entire time. For a lot of these glass cutting boards, they are slightly larger or a bit larger than an 8.5 by 11 sheet of sublimation paper. So let's say that my printer only printed 8.5 by 11. Now I can print 8.5 by 14, but I just wanted to do this one for illustration purposes. If I could only print smaller than the cutting board, this one is just slightly smaller, and I don't know if you can tell, but there'll be a slight white area, and perhaps you can tell a little bit more like this. There'll be a slight white area running down this side as well as this side. So what I'm going to do is make that appear intentional. I'm going to cut this sublimation print where there'll be a slight white area on these two sides as well. So there'll almost be like a white frame around my print once it's sublimated onto the cutting board. This will give the appearance that I did that intentionally, when in fact I did it because my printer needs margins and I was not able to print a full 11-inch design for this cutting board. So this is a great way to get around sort of doing oversized designs with a smaller printer. So I decided where that cut should be on my paper, and I'm just going to use my paper trimmer here and trim my print to size. And now I have something that will leave a white edge all the way around and look a bit more intentional when I sublimate it on my cutting board. Then you would prepare this in the same way. So the white side is up here, and I would clean that well, and then you would locate the print. On this one, I definitely find that I need to turn it over to make sure I get an even white area around the entire thing. And then there is not a ton to tape to sticking out, so I just kind of stick it in a couple of places, trying to grip just that very thin piece of paper. Then carefully lift that up, flip it over, and you can wrap the tape around to this other side. And then tape this other side as well where there's no paper hangover. For this one, I would probably add protective paper to the top and the bottom because you could potentially have some ink on this overhang just to be on the safe side. Otherwise, we're going to add to the heat press in the same manner. These press at 375 degrees for 3 minutes. Again, I'm using the firmer pad in my AutoPress because I do feel like it works better, and you do want to make sure that the sublimation print side is up. And also I did want to mention that I use heat resistant gloves, and I just peel that paper back just as soon as my heat press opens. I am very impatient and I like to see my results. When the time is up, I actually turn the cutting board over and make sure it is sublimated and it's bright. If it's not, at that point I would add it back to the heat press and press again. Now on these rectangular cutting boards, it said 375 for 3 minutes, and I found it just wasn't bright enough for me after that time. So I actually rotated them and pressed them a second time to get the bright, vibrant colors that I got. So let's take a look at some of our results. So these will glare because it is the glass, the light is glaring off of them, but you can see just how gorgeous the sublimation print is on this surface. Now for this one, I did make a mistake and I wanted to point it out. If you'll see, there's a tape mark there. The tape got in between my sublimation print and this white backing, and so it left a mark, just that one spot. So be sure to watch that when you're taping these. And then here's my second like lemon grapefruit print here, and you can see the edge on these, what I was talking about, how I intentionally left that white edge. I think it turned out perfectly, and it's a great way to do a larger cutting board, even if you have a smaller printer. Then finally we have this very large cutting board, but I just put the design in the center and it is still pretty hot. So I'm gonna go ahead and wear my gloves for this one. But you can see just how gorgeous that is and what a great gift it would make. Now for all of these, you would just flip them over to the back and just peel and stick the feet into 4 corners or equally space them on the round cutting board just to hold it off of the surface and like so it won't move when you're cutting. I like adding the feet. It would not be required, however. So now I have several different cutting boards for my kitchen, and I really can't say which is my favorite. Probably the pink and yellow grapefruit lemon type thing I have going on here. That would probably be my favorite. Second favorite is the other fruit design, but definitely the mixer with the florals, it's right up there. So definitely I love all three of these, and I think they would make a great gift idea or make a few cutting boards for your own kitchen. And like I said, more ideas. You could personalize these with names. You could add photos to these cutting boards. Literally anything that you think I would love that on a cutting board, you could add to this. Take a photograph of a handwritten recipe that your grandmother wrote. Print that out on a sublimation printer and sublimate that on the back of these cutting boards. There are tons of ideas and possibilities with this project, and as you saw, it is pretty easy. You do need high temperature, long time. I do recommend a heat press for this just because it's going to be tough to hold an easy press down for as long as you need to hold this down for. I tend to recommend a heat press for medium heavy pressure projects that require a long press time because your arms just get tired with an easy press. However, would it be possible with an easy press? Definitely would be possible. So hopefully this helps you with sublimation on cutting boards. If you have any questions, drop it down in the comment section, ask away. If you like this video, if it helped you, give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, head on over to our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. We have videos just like this one every single week, and trust me, you don't want to miss any of those. So thank you all so much for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.